Okay, you're good.
Okay, so this is Book 4, Sutra 30. From that samadhi, all afflictions and karmas cease. By Dharma Mega Samadhi, all that affects the mind goes away. One becomes Jivan Mukta. Such a person is not affected by anything. He or she is there and things happen. That person is a constant witness. The body and mind, which were trained well before liberation, just continue certain functions because of their prarabdha, or residual karma. To review the workings of karma, all our actions are grouped into 3 sections. As you know, all karmas that are performed leave their results. Those results are stored in a big bag called the karmasaya, literally the bag of karma. Prarabdha karma is the allotment taken out of the bag to be experienced in this life. You have lived before in a number of bodies and have performed a lot of actions. The results are now bundled up in the karmasaya. Sanyita karma is the sum total of all your past karmas. Prarabdha is the amount allotted for you to experience in this lifetime. It is according to your prarabdha that you come into this world with different qualities of body and mind. If you are a girl and I am a boy, it means your prarabdha gave you a feminine body and mine gave me a masculine one, because we each have to undergo certain experiences for which that type of body is needed. That's why sometimes we see bodies with certain deformities. There's no other reason for a newborn child to be deformed. It has done some karma to get a body in which the soul should suffer this result. While experiencing prarabdha, we are doing new karma also. How can we distinguish between prarabdha and the agami, or new karma? Anything that happens without your expectation, unforeseen, is due to prarabdha. But anything that you consciously plan and do is your new karma. If you purposely go and kick a stone and hurt your toe, it is agami karma. If you are just walking around and all of a sudden hit a stone and get hurt, that's due to prarabdha. So these are the 3 kinds of karmas: sanyita, prarabdha, and agami. In the case of jivan muktas, they have come into the world with human bodies because of their prarabdha. Until they got liberated, they were just like anybody else. Now, with their self-knowledge, they decide not to do any new karma to bind themselves. So there is no agami for them. But that doesn't mean they aren't doing actions. Some things seem to be happening. They seem to be doing many things, but they are not. And because of this isolation from the mind and body, they are not affected by the reactions of the acts you see them perform. It is the mind that performs all of the karmas. When you realize you are the Purusha, you know that any karma belongs to the mind. When that isolation, or kavala, comes, the sanyita gets burned because there is no stimulation for the body and mind to continue anything. And because the sanyita cannot affect you, there is no further birth for you. But still, the prarabdha that brought this mind and body remains. Until that is over, the body and the mind will still function. Jivan muktas are neither to be blamed nor praised for their actions. Just as you watch them acting, they watch themselves. All the praise and blame go to the body and mind, not to the jivan muktas. Sometimes students ask what happens to the jivan muktas after they die. Do they come back? Or do they go to another plane and continue evolving? Or what happens? They never worry about it. They don't even want to know. If they wanted to know, they would not be jivan muktas. They are free. You might wonder then about the saints and the prophets who appear in our midst sometimes. They may have come back because they had that desire. They are not jivan muktas, or sometimes jivan muktas are sent back into the world. It is not because they want it, but because the cosmic law wants it. Hey, you're a good example. Go, live in the midst of people. Let them see you appear to be acting, although you are not acting. Sometimes teachers are something like that. Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa gives a beautiful parable about this. Once, a few people went to visit a garden, having been told that there were big, beautiful fruit trees there. But the garden was completely surrounded by high walls, and they couldn't even see what was inside. With great effort, one managed to climb the wall and see inside. He saw such luscious fruit that the minute he saw it, he jumped in. Another person climbed up and immediately jumped in the same way. Finally, a third person climbed up, but when she saw it, she said, "My gosh, how can I jump in now? There are so many hungry people below who don't know what is here or how to climb up." So she sat on the wall and said, "Hey, there's a lot of fruits. Come on. If you try hard, you can come up like I have." She lent a hand, pulling people in. Such people are called teachers. They know what's there, but they don't just want to go and experience it themselves. They want to wait and pull as many people over as they have the strength to do. It is the cosmic consciousness or cosmic law that takes care of that. Sometimes, even if such a person wants to jump over the wall, God says, "No, you stay there. It's not your business to jump. Sit there and help everybody. Until you finish, you cannot jump in." They simply have to obey the cosmic law. And how can you recognize a Jivan Mukta? Only by becoming a Jivan Mukta. Until then, he or she may appear to you to be like anybody else. Still, we seem to recognize it in some people. We see something, and if we think the person is a Jivan Mukta, we may follow him or her. But we should know that we are understanding that person in our own way according to our own imagination. That's the problem with gods and religion. Each person imagines the unimaginable God in his or her own way, and each imagination varies, so we fight. But in the case of wanting a realized person to guide you, ultimately you have to judge by the results. What happens in your life by following the imagination that so-and-so is a Jivan Mukta? If you become more unhappy, don't follow that person anymore. If you are becoming better and happier, continue. The proof of the pudding is in the eating. Lick a little, see how it tastes. If it tastes good, eat a little more. It's an important point. Why are my students with me? What have they seen in me? Are they all seeing the same thing? Have any of them really seen me? Do they really know who I am? No. According to their own thinking, they have taken a liking to me. Oh, this guy seems to be a good person to guide me. That's all. It's their own imagination. They imagine a guru should be a certain way. If he or she fits all their expectations, they say, "This is the one I am looking for." In reality, only a snake knows a snake. Only a saint knows a saint. Only a snake knows a saint. A snake. Right. So there is also a shorter one from Carrera. From that samadhi, all afflictions and karmas cease. Dharma Mega Samadhi ends all afflictions and removes the practitioner from the wheel of cause and effect. The yogi becomes a Jivan Mukta, becoming a being liberated while still in the body, an experience that lies ahead for all of us, though we know not when. In describing the benefits of Dharma Mega Samadhi, Sri Pantanjali uses the same words he used to describe the attributes of Ishvara. Compare the sutra to Sutra 124, in which qualities of Ishvara include being unaffected by afflictions, actions, or the fruits of actions. Is Sri Pantanjali hinting that at the level of Dharma Mega Samadhi, we realize that we are, or are in some significant way, identical to Ishvara, the Supreme Purusha? Are we really beyond all afflictions, ignorance, egoism, attachment, aversion, and clinging to bodily life? Could it be that we are, in reality, free of all karmic entanglements? Are we truly that free? Yes, and more. With Dharma Mega Samadhi, we realize this degree of freedom because ignorance loses its influence on our minds. So this strikes me as being like an extension of what we were reading yesterday. And well, it is an extension of what we were reading yesterday, because yesterday kind of introduced this kind of being, or this state. My only feeling about this is it just seems like a remarkable state and something to aim for. And and I sort of feel like it's one of those states where I once did an exercise with Outward Bound in a camp that my agency was doing. And in this exercise, we had to climb a 10-foot wooden wall without any handholds. There's no way you got over that wall without a lot of help from a lot of people, especially me, a couch potato. And I still have, 30 years after climbing the wall, pictures of me being hauled heels over ass over the wall, uninjured. But I did make it to the other side. So there was something about this piece that made me think of those photos. And of that experience. I had a lot of help. And we all made it over the wall. I mean, the object was you had to get your team over the wall. Whatever it took, you had to get your team over the wall, including the last person to get over. So. That meant that somebody sat on top of the wall until the end. Because I think the way we did it was we left the tallest person on the starting side for the very end, and then we left the strongest person on the top of the wall to reach down and help heave them up so that they could get over the wall. So I guess the person sitting on top of the wall was the teacher.
It's a great analogy.
I'll try to find those pictures and copy them, and not pretty, but I'll send them to you. You all.
In the tradition, they say that all the time, that we're not here by our own merit necessarily. Like, we've had thousands of teachers on the way to get us to the place we're at. My teacher's always going on about that. That we think, oh, I have this knowledge because of me. He's like, no, you have that knowledge because of the grace of others to write textbooks, because of the grace of the teachers to have the patience to teach you, the grace of your parents to hold your hand as you learn to be in the world. It's all by the grace of others that we exist. Like the food we eat, it's by the grace of the farmers planting the seeds and the actual plants giving us the food, and the earth nourishing the plants. It's like, we have so many people pushing our ass over the wall, right?
Yeah. One of the things that is that I have trouble letting go, if ever I have to let this go, is I take great joy in understanding concepts that are really difficult to understand. And sometimes you feel like you're reaching up and you sort of grasp them for 30 seconds or so. And I take great joy, and I have to continuously remind myself the only reason that you even have this brief understanding is because other people wrote the 15 articles or chapters or books that you read ahead of time that laid the groundwork for you to even touch the underside of understanding this particular concept. And it's true, because one of the things that I've learned is you just keep reading, just keep reading, just keep reading, just keep reading. And all of the stuff that builds up inside allows you to maybe touch something that's really hard to understand. And then you slide back down, but at least you touched it for 30 seconds. Or
yeah,
5
knowledge is power.
Yeah, reading is so important. And there's so many people in this community that can't read because they can't get books. or they
Yeah.
don't read our language, which is very ignorant of us to just, or me, like, these things didn't become like eye openers to me until I started volunteering with the book fairies. Like, we can hand people English books all day long, but if they only read Spanish or a different
Yeah.
language, it's not to say they can't read, but they can't read this book. And I just watch it happening so much, and it's like, how do we expect people to break a cycle of anything without trying to help each other? Like, we have to be each other's teachers. We have to be handing out our hands, because reading is like what Amanda was just saying. It's like, yeah, we can learn from those people, but if you're like me and you get stuck with a bad circle of people, and if I didn't have the library, I would not be where I was right now. And if I didn't read, and even if I was reading Babysitters Club books, at least I was reading and learning. But a lot of these kids don't even have access to a library, because if you're homeless and you don't have an address,
Yes.
no library. If you don't have money for public transportation to get to the library, no library. Some of these schools don't have libraries. Some of these classrooms don't. I've been in schools without libraries. I've been in classrooms without libraries.
Yeah, it's remarkable, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's like, I love the idea. I'm very passionate about reading and being able to select which book you want to read, which is another amazing thing that Amy at the Book Fairies does when she hosts these scholastic book fair like events. She has special volunteers in the warehouse that they pull all the new like books, so no child's getting something that looks like it's been used already. Some of them are brand new, and she lays them out by grade, and each grade has its own color tablecloth. So the grade comes in and it's like, go to the second grade, and go to the yellow tablecloth. And these children get to pick out 2 books to bring home. And I've gotten to go to some of these fairs, and they're beautiful. These children get to pick their own 2 books versus me just handing them 2 books.
Yep.
They have 2 books that they're interested in, and the things they come up with, they're so cute. The things that they're interested, they all want soccer, but some of them all they're like poetry or presidents or history. Like, it's so cute that their range of likes, and they're like, I get to take this home with me. I get to keep this.
Yeah.
The level of joy that they get from this, it's just, but getting to choose your own book is that whole idea of me getting to choose what I want to learn and how I want to learn it, and start questioning things. And if you don't have access to all these books, you're just learning what people are telling you to learn, and you're just doing it that way. And that's really bad in this country, I think.
Mm-hmm.
We really need to stop that.
But it's beyond books, that whole thing of choice and opportunity. When I was in high school, long ago and far away, I had a chemistry teacher who I really liked. Not that I aced chemistry, because I always struggled with it, but this guy, we went into class one morning and he was all excited because at the University of Buffalo, Edward Teller, who, a famous physicist, he was a genius, although he was greatly shunned because of the kind of bomb that he wanted to build. Edward Teller was going to be teaching at the University of Buffalo for a year. He occupied some chair. And this chemistry teacher was going to sign up for one of his classes. And he stood up in front of class. And here we were, high school students. And, the idea is pass this course, that kind of. He stood up in front of class and he said, all I want to do is sit in this guy's class. I just want to hear him. I want to listen. I want to try to learn. I don't care if I fail this class. And when he said that, it was like this little light went on in my brain, that just keep trying, just keep finding the teachers, just keep trying to learn. And it doesn't matter if you fail, because you touch something And maybe the next time you touch it, you'll have a better understanding of it. And I thought, if this guy could do this, and I held him, he had his, I don't know what the hell he was doing teaching in our high school. It was a working class high school. He had his doctorate, and he was this very smart guy, head and shoulders above anybody I'd ever met in my life. And there he was saying, I don't care if I fail a course. And I thought, you don't? And it was, just keep going.
That's what the whole unschooling movement is about, right? Like, there's a big issue with sort of the way we qualify knowledge. Like, you can access the knowledge, but it's like a race. It's not something to enjoy, right? You have to go home and do the homework. You have to get a good grade. It's like, in unschooling, the idea is like, follow your passion, expand your knowledge in what interests you. And they see these kids like learning multiple languages on their own, self-guided, learning about science. And like, I don't know, that was like a thing. I had an issue with school. Like, I always did well, but once college was over, I had this moment of like, I can read whatever I want now. Now I get to decide what I want to learn. And it was such a liberating thing. It didn't stop me from reading. It was like, I started reading more than I did in school, because it was stuff that, it was a path I wanted to dive into, that was like great. I wish there was more room for that in regular schooling, like more self-guided teaching. Maybe there is now versus when I went to school.
I feel like it's less because of all that testing. Like, and the children just seem so unhappy because of all the work they have to do. Like, they're so pressurized. I feel like it's worse than when I went to school.
Maybe that's why they all want to check out and
Yeah.
just watch TV and look at the internet and absorb entertainment rather than like pursuing their own
They don't
knowledge.
even have to do it. They're not being taught maybe. Like, unless you have really good parents that are giving you that freedom that you deserve and are have a right to. But I don't know, it's just, but Sue, in high school, I was a decent student. I wasn't an overachiever, but I got my good grades and whatever. But when I was a senior, I was just so tired of like doing everything by the book. I mean, I was president of the track team. I was coach of the track team, president of this club, MVP, whatever. So I was like, I had already gotten into the college I wanted to go to. So I purposely failed my English class. I just wanted to fail something. And it was like such a good lesson. And it's one of my big, like, I just was like, I just want to see what an F looks like on my report card. Like, I'm not going to get in trouble for it. My parents didn't care. So like, I never did any of the homeworks, and sometimes I wouldn't go to class. And the teacher never pulled me aside and was like, is everything okay? And I always thought that stuck out to me. Like, there wasn't like that, like, why the heck is this like good student all of a sudden failing? But it allowed me that like freedom that it is okay to fail. And I think it is an important lesson that, I mean, I did it purposely, but I think it's good to try. Like, I just posted about this, like, trying things that scare you, because who knows, like, it could be the things that bring you the most joy, even though you're not good at them. Like, you don't have to be perfect at it.
Right, but our culture says there's no value if you're not successful, and that's the big problem. It's like people, like my husband, for example, when he was in school, he liked to draw and make art, and then he had an art teacher who said his picture wasn't good enough for him to be an AP, and he never did any art ever again.
Very sad.
So like, when I'm with Isabel, I'm like, here, why don't you draw with us? Take a crayon.
But isn't that why, like, you would think the majority of humans don't try yoga because they already are afraid to fail?
Yeah.
They even got in because they can't touch their toes.
Absolutely. It's what we hear, right? People are like, oh, I'm not flexible. I can't do yoga. It's like, it's not what it is.
Yeah, they like have already created what they told themselves the story based on the cover of the yoga journal, which is fair. And but that's how I feel like I'm extending my hand. Now I'm never gonna force anyone to do yoga, but I've had people say to me like, oh, I should do yoga. I want to be Zen like you, and I just laugh at them. I can see what they mean. And it definitely has changed me for the better, but I'm not going to be one of those people going around being like, you have to do yoga or I'm not going to be friends with you. But I'm just going to keep living by example and being that teacher. Like, when you're ready, I'm right here. Like, let's go.
There's the fruit.
Speaking of Jackie, Bill's doing an outdoor class at Pauline's backyard tomorrow through Rev. So if you want to take his class.
Took his class
Oh, you did?
last week or the week before, and I was the only person there.
Oh my goodness. Online or in person?
Online.
Okay.
And his wife was there. He turned the camera around and said,
Yeah.
my wife's there. She just stays in the corner. He said, but I was the only student there. So that was a little intimidating. Got through it.
You got a private with Bill.
Yeah.
But he practices with you, right? He did it with you?
Yeah.
He teaches while he does it while he teaches.
Yeah.
So something else that stood out about the reading was karma being in the mind. Anyone else catch that?
Yes.
I never thought of it like that. And I don't know why. That seems so obvious.
I think I don't want to think of it like that. I just want to ignore that part.
I always thought the karma was like, that was another thing I was falsely identifying with until this very moment. When you read that, I was like, oh, I'm not my karma either.
Or you are your own karma and you create your own karma. So
Well, your body mind creates the karma, but you're not your body mind.
yeah, your Purusha doesn't create the karma.
Yeah, that's what I don't know why I was thinking that for so long.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it makes sense what I was thinking because, I was identifying with it, but
Yeah.
All right, we should probably move into breath unless anyone wants
All right. I am going to mute me.
your rounds unless Jackie, do you want to do it? No, I don't want to pressure you, only if you want to do it.
No, I'd rather not this morning. Thank you.
Okay, that's okay. I'll lead us through some alternate nostril breathing and then I'll set the timer for 20 minutes.
Okay.
So just setting up in your seat, taking a few breaths. Taking your right thumb to your right nostril, inhale through your left. Close your left, exhale right. Inhale right. Close, exhale left. Inhale left. Close, exhale right. Inhale right. Close, exhale left. Inhale right. Inhale left. Close, exhale right. Inhale right. close, exhale left. Doing 3 more rounds on your own breath. Exhaling through left nostril to finish. Taking your time to finish and doing any other breathing exercises you need, and then setting your intention, possibly dedicating your meditation to someone today. And I'll set the timer for 20 minutes. Bringing hands together in front of your heart. Namaste.
Namaste.
Have a beautiful day.
Have a good day, everybody.
Yep.
Sue, I was only telling Jackie about Bill